Well, good morning, Jaginder Rana here. The topic for our discussion today is from boardrooms to bedrooms. From boardrooms to bedrooms. So the United States now experience $1 billion climate related catastrophe in less than every 20 days. A growing portfolio of 40 million insured homes is witnessing jump in premiums from the escalating losses. While some wildfire, flood and hurricane prone regions are becoming uninsurable. In some such cases, properties are becoming worthless. So home insurance hogs the most limelight. Damages, rising insurance cost and supply side challenges have not only made it an emotive issue but have brought climate change debate to people's bedrooms. California has become the flashpoint for an insurance crisis fueled by wildfires. State farms and all-state insurance recently stopped writing new properties and casualty coverage for homeowners in the state. For the California Department of Insurance, the state's regulator is being lobbied by carriers to allow increase in premiums. The state's consumer protection laws forbid carriers from using catastrophe models to determine the risk of wildfire and therefore how that can factor into premium rates. The national average for home insurance based on an annual policy that offers dwelling coverage of up to $250,000 soared by 20%. So the higher premiums, which have been blamed on factors ranging from inflation, spiking the cost of materials and labor to climate changes, are at the root of why some 12% of US homeowners decline to buy insurance. The report shows the actuarially sound pricing is going to make it unaffordable to live in certain places as climate impact emerges. When insurance costs soar, First Street shows it severely undermines home values and in some cases erodes them entirely. There is this climate insurance bubble out there. So the non-profit climate research firm First Street Foundation found that while about 6.8 million properties nationwide already rely on expensive public insurance programs, there is only a fraction of 39 million across the country that face similar conditions. So there is a potential barrier to adaptation and resilience. The structure code meant to cope with wind speeds of 90 million per hour are no longer adequate. So the climate tech is a term. Let's see if that is a bane or boon. Concerns have also been raised about carriers' use of technology in building wildfire risk models, sourcing data on the risk and feeding that data into models. A public risk model, supposedly more transparent, has been proposed. The insurers are expected to explain their risk model in a manner that most people can understand and evaluate. The second part of the regulation equation is the type of data being used and how it is being collected. Property intelligence technology has become a big source. Writes a digital insurance mechanical Shashua of a large amount of the data relevant to wildfire risk modeling. So the data can be about characteristics of a property itself or the areas surrounding that property and what risk the characteristics of those areas present for the property. What should be the homeowner's responsibility for the condition of their property? Does this genuinely raise their risk of wildfire damage? If surrounding property or land has a substantial risk, to what extent should carriers be allowed to raise the premium for that property owner? Can the property owner mitigate the risk with their own maintenance enough to keep their coverage cost reasonable? So more insurers are relying on AI for climate risk underwriting decisions, knowing very well that AI can easily propagate biases and discriminations. The National Association of Insurance Commissioners recently issued a bulletin with recommendations for insurers about their use of AI. Writes Penny Crossman of Digital Insurance. As of now, as for how respective state regulators or Congress respond to carriers dropping or stopping home insurance coverage remains to be seen. Corporate farms more worrisome. While the media focus is on homes threatened by fires and storms, taxpayers' bailouts for corporate farms are growing exponentially. As climate change damages crops, observes environmentalists. So Georgine Augustine of Inside Climate News reports that the country's farmers took in a record $19 billion in insurance payment in 2022. Many because of weather-related disasters, according to a new analysis that suggests climate change could stoke the cost of insuring the nation's farmers and ranchers to unsustainable levels. So critics of the program says worry that it will incentivize more carbon-intensive farming. Already US farms are responsible for 11% of the country's greenhouse gas emission. A recent analysis suggests that percentage could rise to about 30% of the total by 2050, more than any other sector of the economy. If farms and ranches don't shrink their carbon impact. So what is the protection gap? American households are already seeing this impact even if their own homes have not been damaged. As a result, most householders are turning to residual markets for coverage or are foregoing insurance entirely. It is necessary for the financial stability Oversight Council to examine how these shifts may affect the wider financial systems. Wildfires are the fastest growing natural disaster risk. During the next 30 years, it estimates the number of acres burned will balloon from about 4 billion per year to 9 million. And the number of structures destroyed is on track to double to 34,000 annually. Wildfires are also the predominant threat for 4.4 million of the 39 million properties that First Street identified as the risk of insurance upheaval. Coal, oil and gas companies are now directly linked to worsening forest fires across the western US. A peer-reviewed study from the Union of Concerned Scientists found that 19.8 million acres of burned forest land, 37% of the total areas caused by forest fires in the western US and southwestern Canada since 1986, can be attributed to heat trapping emissions traced to the world's 88th largest fossil fuel producers and cement manufacturers. Emissions from these companies and their products also contributed to nearly half of the increase in drought and fire danger conditions across the region since 1901. The study and other attributions, studies like it, offers policymakers, elected officials, and legal experts a scientific basis for holding fossil fuel companies, एक minute, accountable for the impacts of their products and their decades-long deception efforts. So as the pendulum swings from homes to responsible boards, to finger pointing for the dissolution of the new Zero Insurance Alliance, the climate change debate wildfire is all set to intensify in the US. Thank you very much.